Two, pilot testing and implementation of the pilot rail crew resource management training program. The Texas Transportation Institute conducted being a beta testing transportation engineering track of the program in fall 2004. The defective effectiveness training materials remain in the development research made with the content organization of the crew resource management training presentation based on the received and also the two beta testing classes. The team also decided to provide with the attendee with the participation guide with the copies of the presentation slide rooms and taking notes and the written version of each scenario along with the question to be used by a small group. Regular training sessions within the transportation engineering tracks followed to be the beta testing phases in spring and early summer of 2005 with the various locations shown in the table 2. Pilot testing of the maintenance track materials did not take place due to the several setbacks. Original maintenance track piloting testing was scheduled in the Kansas City Southern Maintenance Facility, Shreveport, Louisiana. However, either resignation departed with a member of the safety management team of the Kansas City Southern, who was supporting the project agreement of the Canadian mechanical classes, so it could be reached for the Kansas City Southern or the Kansas City Southern management officers were asked to conduct classes with both Texas Transportation Institute and the Federal Railroad Administration. Personnel made repeated attempts to schedule the course of the BNSF rate. Ultimately, the efforts were unsuccessful. 2.2. The Pilot Railway Crew Resource Management Training Delivery. The Texas Transportation Institute worked personnel in the FRA BNSF rate to arrange classes to pilot testing training scores. One each of the training track curriculums was completed. The pilot consisted of the beta testing course conducted in late 2004, training the classes for transportation engineering track for the tracks in spring and early summer 2005. Class typical took between 6 and 8 hours to complete, depending upon the number of attendees, amount of the discussion that occurred among the participation. Each of the training tracks has experienced challenges associated with the scheduling, conducting pilot schedule course as well, which will be considered with the further implementation program of the transportation track and training track. The graciously difficulty encountered with the scheduled classes was due to the crew scheduling process, which students are assigned to the pilot classes. Other trainees were given a little or no notice of the class and being scheduled and had reported for the training where there was expecting an operational job on that day. The lack of notice of the class angered the frustrated many of the participation, and often several hours to overcome this obstacle within over participation value of the training. Table 2 shows the pilot rail crew resource management training location dates and class sizes. Signawa, Texas, September 22nd, 2004 to May 2005 through transportation beta, engineering beta, and transportation with numbers ranging from 7 to 7 from highs of 3 to 17. Fort Worth, Texas, May 17th, 2005 to May 18th, 2005. Engineering and their number of attendees were 14 and 22. And Childress, Texas, June 8th, 2005. The number of attendees were 16. Normandy, Oklahoma, June 14th, 2005, 22. Perry, Oklahoma, June 15th, 2005, 23. Research did not encounter the problem when scheduling an engineering class, and since group the training of the monthly training day were already in the regular planned activity. Additional interest of the division in engineering and seeing the program limited enabled the course to schedule more readily. Maintaining classes are a pending location participation schedule on a host of the railroad FRA Federal Railroad Administration. 2.3 Course Content Description. The following 6 modules make up the crew resource management presentation developed into this course. The end of each of the model represents a scenario based on an actual accident incident with the supports learning objects on the module. Each scenario contains information with the reports published in the National Train Safety Bureau and the FRA. Class participation are put into small groups which they review in the materials, answer the number of the questions related to the crew resource management principles during the lecture portion of each of the module. Before beginning the first module, each of the class receives a safety briefing regarding the classroom location, headcount, is taken, emergency plans are made with the unforeseen event of the occurred during the training. The briefing is done in accordance with the host railroad procedures and policy. Whenever the possible, facilitators allowed the senior member of the class to lead and assist in conducting briefing. Following the safety briefing, each of the facilitator class participation are given the opportunity to introduce themselves, given the information on the background. It is related to the class I named, the railroad experience, job assessment, job assignment, etc. And once introduction completed the pre-training survey, administrative the class participation to gain baseline information evaluation course effectiveness. 231, the Module 1 Introduction, Module 1 course provided with the basic definition of the crew resource management, a history of the origin and development of the crew resource management, and the module describes the crew resource management and is and what is not, specifically addressing differences between the crew resource management concepts that covered in the class and the crew management, which is the term used in the service of Class 1 railroads to describe the system of notifying the train crews when they are required to report a duty. The instructor makes it clear that the crew resource management is discussed in the class, not directly related to the crew recalling the function. A discussion of the project history included, as well as the overall elemental interactive exam teams and explanation of the training tracks that make up the crew resource management program. The mode also includes discussion of the National Train Safety Board investigation North-South and CSX train accidents in Butler, Indiana, 1998, which led to the National Train Safety Board recommended that the railroad industry institute the crew resource management for the first time. The National Train Safety Board investigation concluded the major contributing factor, the accident which either the member of the train crew acted individual with low or no accident, which either the member of the train crew acted on the individual little or no communication as a team, the discussion of accident and breakdown of the crew member, which led and laid basis of the daily discussion of the crew resource management principles. Facilitator presents an outline of the planned training schedule as well as an overview of the topics of study throughout the day. The module allows you the time for the 2 or 3 additional scenarios to adding the becoming familiarized involving the participation analysis of the human factor causing accidents, participation, acting in small groups as one of the large groups depending on the class size, review and evaluating the scenario before the facilitator reviews and discusses the relationship with the crew resource management principles. The acquaintance of the participants with the techniques that are also used to throw out the day of the evaluated scenarios in each subsequential model and discussion of the introduction scenarios as well as the small group to begin with the calicy from international roles that can be built up on class progresses. 232 module, technical proficiency. Module 2 is a typical very short module comparison with the others in the course. The development of the technical or job proficiency has often been in the focus majority of the job training that's provided with the railway company to new hires, long-time employees. In relation to the crew resource management technical proficiency foundation, because of each of the members is expected to know his or her procedures, knowing his or her equipment, knowing how to put knowledge of the 2 items and participating with the skill job performance. The second facet of the technical proficiency related to crew resource management is discussing the instructor in the asset of taking consideration technical proficiency other team members both before and during the job activities. The key is not assume that the co-workers know a specific skill, but to ask him or her directly if any of the questions exist regarding his or her ability to complete the assigned task. Other methods of assessing the determined co-worker's level of technical proficiency as well as the situation where they lack technical proficiency can lead to the accident discussed. Facilitator transportation participation in the module is not formally evaluate the individual technical proficiency, rather the remainder along with the individual railroad responsibility for ensuring the person is trained for his or her job functions. The member of each of the railroad must work together, identifying any areas the technical proficiency may be lacking. At the end of each model, the scenario in which the lack of the technical proficiency led to the accident is discussed. Model 3 was a situational awareness module introducing the student with the concept of situational and the awareness use of presentation graphics and compare with the actual occurring reality versus what viewed when they happen in the perception of the reality. The fact people action put upon the perceived reality discussed by the facilitator, importance becoming more aware of the actual situation individual as a team. The module also allows the discussion recognizing situational cues and roles of fatigue, pay, and loss of situational awareness. The module has so review tools recognizing loss of situational awareness regarding situational awareness, maintaining situational awareness. Alright, Module 3, typical use of the scenario, exhibiting loss of situational awareness. One video of the clip showing the fatigue causing the aid to the participant in relating the subject material. The discussion of the scenario, small group, subsequential discussion as a whole class normally allows the time for a participation to examine the question of how the crew's scenario could lose situational awareness, as well as identify some points in the scenario when the different action should have been taking place. The facilitator must work to begin. They have class members identify and point out in such events by the time in each training situation. Module 4, Communication. The module covers communication skills, ways to improve the communication between the crew members, elemental and interactive teams, and including 3 video clips of the same 2 individuals discussing job assignment in the yard, and each time they're using improved communication skills to increase the safety through the information exchange. Video clips include clips illustrate the communication presented with the module for the transportation track, or recording the dispatcher train crew communication from the head on the collision train of the Quadrant, Texas, and is presented with the class. The audio file was provided with the team. The FRA staff was participating in the National Train Safety Board. The audio file was provided with the team. The FRA staff was participating in the National Train Safety Board of Investigation of Accidents. Classes asked to identify the problem communication either internal and operational crew between the train crews and the dispatcher with the recording advances. After the audio track is complete with the participation, read short description of the head-on collision to provide with the further information on how it occurred. The small groups can then evaluate what wrong during the period of building up to the time of the accident. The module stress importance of evaluation, multiple characteristic communication such as nonverbal two-way versus one-way communication, active listening, other communication methods used in the railroad industry are reviewed. For example, railroad hand signals, written orders, strengths, weaknesses, each of the communication. Then the module continues discussion, new communication technology, cell phones, electronic authority, exchange, automated information exchange, etc. How they will potentially change the way the railroad crew communicates. Finally, an importance for the job briefing process, importance of activation, participation, job briefing, and the review discussion. Participation are reminded that overheard the subtitle cues might be displayed during the briefing of the can greatly affect the crew's later performance. 235 module teamwork. The teamwork module goal is related to participation, safety hinges, and on the individual team actions. Principal issues discussing the difference between lines of authority, leadership, opposed safety leadership, developing conflict resolution skills, making sure that the workload is equally distributed throughout the working crew, keeping all the members of the crew actively involved in safety while recognizing co-workers. Cues. The module normally utilizes one scenario related to teamwork, job assignment, roles, and 2 video clips related to conflict management illustrating the principles covered. 236 Module Assertiveness. The module discusses the need of assertiveness in communication with the railroad team to help ensure the accidents do not occur to failure communication information or point of the hazard due to the authorized authority, roles, and crew. The proper method of being assertive and reviewed, and 1 video clip presented with the illustrated how the accident can occur with the individual rules does not attack assertive and submit the judgment of one or more senior co-worker even though he or she is uncomfortable with the situation. Alright, 237, course review and final scenario. The course review discusses the item covered and through the day of the crew resource management training. To wrap up the course, the major scenario incorporated all elements of the crew resource management presented for a small group of reviewing and evaluation. The scenario allows the group utilizing the skill learned during the entire class. The facilitator that has participation participants identify with the crew, describe each of the different elements of the crew resource management, i.e. technical proficiency, situational awareness, communication, teamwork, and assertiveness. They play a role in the accident scenarios as well as the corrective actions that the crew could have been taken before during an unfolding accident. The discussion is completed. The post-training survey is administered in class in order to assess the knowledge of the transfer, attitude, the change, acceptance of the crew resource management principles. By participation, the new chapter contains a detailed analysis result of the major measurement of the class responses. Chapter 3, Analysis Pilot Railway Crew Program.